oh, come on, it's okay. Sugar's not as bad as you think. It was my addiction talking. Hey guys, welcome back to the Carnivore Revolution. I'm Serena, and today we're going to talk about getting back on track. Getting back on track is so difficult to do. So if you have ever, and most of us have, been on a diet and gone off the rails and then had a hard time getting back on track, this video is for you. Being a carnivore has been one of the greatest gifts I've ever given myself, and I haven't been perfect. The first 2 years were pretty spot on. The first 2 years I was pretty strict. And then after that, I started letting things, just here and there creep in. A bite of this, a bite of that. But the problem is a bite is never just a bite for me. A bite usually turns into more than that. I'm just realizing I think this might be the same shirt I wore in my last video. Oh well, moving on. So I think that for me, trying that crazy sugar diet experiment that everybody else was trying was really just my brain saying, oh, come on, it's okay. Sugar's not as bad as you think. It was my addiction talking. And the sugar diet didn't go very well for me. I'm an abstainer. I'm a carbohydrate and sugar addict, and I know that, and yet I allowed myself to be sucked into something that I had no business trying. And so let me just talk to you about how I have gotten back on track from that and how I'm feeling today. So I have been back on carnivore. I have had a few little indiscretions just because that's in my head now. That sugar is still stuck in my head telling me a little bit of carbs and a little bit of sugar isn't going to hurt me. And it's just the addiction speaking for me, and I know that. And so the way I've gotten back on track was to do some fat fasting. Now I know there are many of you out there that are going to say, oh, she's always trying something different. She's always on a challenge or a fast of some sort. And that's true. I am almost always experimenting and trying something different. And that's just because that makes me feel good. It makes me feel in control of what's going on with my body and with my diet. So fat fasting has really helped me. And I think it's partially because the fat fasting releases that same hormone in your body that the sugar fasting does, the FGF21 hormone that can boost your metabolism and help you to lose weight. And that's what people are saying about the sugar diet. That's why it works, is because of that hormone. But basically what happens is if you have sugar in the absence of fat and protein, that'll happen. And if you have fat in the absence of carbohydrates or sugar and protein, that'll happen. And so that's been amazing for me. Now I've been fat fasting off and on for probably 2 years, 2.5 years. It's nothing new for me. I've also done sardine fasting and water fasting. You guys have seen me try a lot of different things here. I've done intermittent fasting. I've tried OMAD, just 1 meal a day, or 2MAD where I eat all of my food in between like noon and 4. Like I've tried a lot of different things here to get to be my ultimate self, to get to be where I want to be. And then it seems like every time I hit my goal, I just kind of let things go and I'm off my guard and I get complacent and I gain some of the weight back. And I think that happens to a lot of people. So one of the ways that I'm planning this time when I lose the next 8 pounds, my last 8 pounds, when I get there again, I plan on keeping on doing what I was doing that helped me get there. Because in the past, if I was fat fasting or doing OMAD or doing intermittent fasting to get there, I just kind of let that go afterwards and just went back to kind of normal carnivore, eating 3 times a day, snacking on carnivore foods and things like that. And I always end up gaining a few pounds after I have hit my goal. So my goal this time would be to hit my goal and then to stay there doing the things that I already know work for me. And one of those things is fat fasting. I've been doing that off and on, mostly on, since I went back to being strict carnivore when I decided that the sugar diet was just an insane approach for somebody like me, and it has really helped me. So I just wanted to elaborate on the fat fasting because I'm still getting a lot of questions about that. So fat fasting is, like I said, it is eating lots of fat in the absence of the carbohydrates or sugar and in the absence of protein. And obviously you're going to get a little bit of protein with some of the fatty carnivore foods, but not as much as, as a normal carnivore diet. So even something like 80-20, that is like 80% fat, 20% protein, that's still too much protein to be considered a fat fast. So a fat fast consists of lots of heavy cream, which I didn't used to do fat fasting with heavy cream, and honestly, it was not nearly as much fun as it is now. But you can have tallow in its regular, like soft tallow form. You can whip the tallow and you can eat it like that. You can put, a little bit of salt or a little bit of cinnamon in it, to give it a little bit of flavor. You can have egg yolks fried in butter or in your heavy cream and turn it into like an eggnog. You can have the egg yolks in your heavy cream and turn it into ice cream. So you can do lots of heavy cream, and I never would have thought that would have worked for me. If I ate that many calories in cheese, I definitely would gain weight. My face would break out. I would not feel as good as I do with heavy cream. So in the past, when I would fat fast, I would go to my local butcher, and for 99 cents a pound, I could get trimmings from the ribeye steaks that he sells. And I would put that in the air fryer and I would eat that. I would dehydrate some of that fat, and that was okay too. But I didn't enjoy it with the beef tallow and with the beef fat trimmings as much as I enjoy it the way I'm doing it now. So a typical day of fat fasting for me might be a sugar-free, a latte in the morning, where I would do 2 shots of espresso, and then I would add lots and lots of frothed and heated heavy cream to that. That's a delicious way to get in some calories and some fat. I also put some butter in it as I'm frothing that heavy cream. That makes it really delicious, and probably between 400 and 500 calories. I haven't measured it, but it has a lot of calories in it. Or I might have 4 or 5 or 6 egg yolks fried in extra butter, and then I pour the butter from the pan back over top of it on my plate when I'm about to eat it. And I will have lots of heavy cream in the way of the latte, and then also sometimes I'll make that eggnog and have that for lunch. And then for dinner, sometimes I will just make some carnivore ice cream. I will put the egg yolks and the heavy cream in a blender and blend it up, and then I'll put it in my ice cream maker, and I'll try to make enough for 2 or 3 days all at once so that I can have it in the freezer and not have to make it every day. But that's pretty much how I fat fast, and I've really been enjoying that. It has really helped me. I lost the 8 pounds I gained while I was sugar fasting by doing the fat fasting kind of intermittently. So I'll do maybe 2 days of fat fasting, and then I'll have a higher protein day. Maybe I'll do a lower fat day that day. On that third day, maybe I'll do chicken breast and some more egg whites than yolks. Maybe I'll do, a couple of whole eggs, and then I'll add in 3 extra egg whites to get my protein up without all the fats. And then maybe have chicken that day, or some crab meat, or some cod with just a little bit of butter on it right out of the air fryer or something like that. So I think that can really help too, is kind of like that zigzagging approach where you kind of switch things up every other day or every couple of days. Seems like that's really helped me. And I really enjoy doing those things and not kind of eating the same thing every day. I enjoy doing the higher fat days and the lower fat days and just kind of mixing things up. And sometimes for some people that can kind of be the key, is not doing the same thing every day. And you can find that you can have really good success like that. So anyway, I just wanted to give a quick update on how the fat fasting has been working for me. So I lost the 8 pounds that I gained, but I still have 8 pounds to go from where I was back in April when I actually hit my goal. And so I'm going to be kind of fighting to get that back here. I didn't go off the rails. That's not really what caused me to gain that weight. Again, it was just kind of complacency, and I need to remember that next time. Maybe in a month when I hit my goal again, I need to remember how that worked for me, that I can't just be complacent and go back to regular carnivore. That doesn't work for everybody to stay that way. I think for me, I'm going to have to, and we're all learning as we go here. And you might be the kind of person that can just stick with regular carnivore and not count your calories and not worry about what carnivore food you're eating or how many you're eating. For me, a lot of times I do need to count my calories. I need to track sometimes because I tend to over or under eat if I'm not tracking. My hunger cues are still messed up from years of yo-yo dieting and years of disordered eating and things like that. So sometimes I do need to track. And so maybe for you, just regular carnivore, having eggs and bacon for breakfast and burgers for lunch and steak for dinner, maybe that works. But that doesn't always work for everybody. So for me, I definitely have to pay more attention. And even after 4 years, I'm still kind of learning how this works for me. And so you may be having that same problem. And I think fat fasting is just a great thing to kind of throw in the mix here and there, maybe a few days a week, to give your body that time to burn that FGF21, to make that FGF21 hormone, and to burn extra fat, and to just kind of help you get your footing and keep the weight off, or lose a couple of pounds midweek and then try to keep that off, and maybe you have a new set weight, starting off the next week, instead of kind of going off the rails or eating too much protein. And when I eat too much protein, I tend to gain weight. And so I think everybody's different, and I think we can just kind of learn from each other. And so, like I said, I was still getting lots of questions about the fat fasting, so I wanted to be sure that I made a quick video about that. And I hope that you guys enjoy this video, and please remember to like and subscribe down below if you do like the video, because that can make a huge difference in the algorithm and helping me get more views on my videos. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.